Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Certainly, all the power belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the center of all knowledge. That's why the people of our trade, we say Lahawlawala, quwata, ilbilLah repeatedly and continuously and with sincerity and from our hearts, and we live with it and by it, and we find wisdom in it, and we seek wisdom in it. We're living at a time in which the matters of muamalat, and this is to say the matters of social order, social organization of our communities, of Muslim communities, has disappeared. Has disappeared both in act and perhaps even more worrying in knowledge, with only the exception of few who have come to point out how this is fundamental to the Deen itself. And at the source of this renewal of interest in this matter is the book of Shaykh Dr as-Sufi, wrote Islamic Education, where he pointed out is the Amal of the ahlal Madinah, the model. It has to be seen as a model, and the idea of a model is the heart of what I want to tell you today. This is a continuation of a talk I gave you a few weeks ago regarding these issues of muamalat in relation to what is our closest, historically closest Muslim society, that is the Ottoman society. And we were looking into how the societies in the past organized themselves in terms of urban design around the idea of the imaret. Now, this is something that very few people understand, and when we looked into it, we realized this is how we can make sense of things like the souk, the caravans, and many of the contracts that come alongside these two institutions. For example, kirat. Without the markets, you cannot understand the caravans. But without the caravans, you cannot understand kirat, because 99% of all the kirat was for trading. And this is how this matter of muamalat affects fundamentally our understanding of the Sharia. If we were not to have the model, it is almost impossible to understand the contracts. The situation is similar to when you buy one of these Legos, and you buy a box of Lego, and you're supposed to do a pirate's castle, right? But they give you a pattern, so you have a model. So you look at the picture, and then you follow the steps, because you know what you want to obtain. But if such model was not there, and you were asked to make a castle for the pirates, each one of us will make a different one. Some will be close to what is the original model. Some it will be bizarrely different. But instead of, if we don't have the model, and instead of that model, somebody presents to you another model, it's not a castle anymore, but it's a ship. And you find yourself with this new template, using these tools. What chances do you have to make a castle? You will end up doing a ship, or something similar, or looking like, because that's what you are using as a model. So we need a model. When the Muslims find themselves in the unusual historical situation of losing political power, a template was given to them. A template in terms of economic, social, political, and legal order. The British, unlike others, they didn't stop there. They said, your Islam is fine, but you have to adapt it. You have to. This is the real Islam. You have to Islamize this, and they went one step that nobody else had done. The Dutch didn't, for example. But the British meddled up with Islam, and they started to teach Islam. And an army of Orientalists started to tell us what our history was, and to educate the elite of those colonialized societies in their universities, according to the patterns, with their titles, which they came then back here and tried to model society according to that science that they had acquired. Society itself poured money, tons of money, in order to send the people to be educated in these foreign universities. They came with titles, they came with knowledge, and certainly with a very different model of society. Things like democracy, like central banks, constitutions, legal systems, they came adopted as a matter of fact. When then Islam was looked upon and sincerely looked upon by some individuals, they find themselves that it was not applicable. So they came to the conclusion that we need to modernize it. We need to reform it. And then you end up with a ship instead of a castle. The pieces are there, the names are there, but they have been completely twisted. So when that piece that actually belonged to the tower of the castle didn't fit in the ship, they just bend it. They say, okay, well, just bend it a little bit and then we can use it as a mast or whatever. Then Islam doesn't fit in any conceivable way. The matters have forgotten and is abandoned. And this pseudo-Islam of Islamization takes priority in society, is absorbed by universities, titles are given, and everybody carries on. Is it important to look into muamalat? It is important. There is a model, there is an Islamic society. Do we have an economic model? The answer is, of course. We've been told we don't. So when the British came in, they say, these uncivilized people, they need to be civilized. And we followed that idea. So we didn't have what it was needed, so we have to civilize ourselves. And we saw technology as part of the luring factor. And through technology, everything came along. There was no discrimination. And this is part of the bizarre side of technology, one that Heidegger speaks about, which is not the tool in itself and what it's capable of doing, but the fact that it reveals the world in a particular way. And we just absorb it, it doesn't matter what. If this is the legal system, this is the legal system. If this is the financial system, this is the financial system. If we have a central bank, we have a central bank. If we have inflation, we have to have inflation. And if we have to have these interest rates, we have to have these interest rates. If we have to borrow from the IMF, we have to. And so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. So Islam, what happened to it? It becomes a sentiment. It becomes a sentiment. So the people will say, but do you believe in God, really? And they say, no, I do. But it doesn't go into their hearts. Now you know what is spirituality, because you have been for many years, many of you have tasted, you have seen great people of this matter, and you know how they speak and what they are concerned with. And you have a different taste of spirituality than what other people do. Because they think, well, I have a sentiment, yes, I cried that day, and so therefore I have knowledge. It's a lot deeper than that. It's a lot deeper than that. On this matter of spirituality, the spiritual journey, there is the critical matter that unveils not just these issues, but how to act upon them. The spiritual matters are the fundamental issues. The spiritual matters are matters of Hakika and Sharia. And the people who are the elite of this affair have said, these are the people who join the Hakika and the Sharia, who join it. Because to be separated from each other is like the person who says, yes, I believe in Allah, but he doesn't do anything about it. And Allah warns us in the Quran that there are people who will tell you, yes, I believe in Allah, but secretly they don't. They cannot act, they don't care. They're not interested. Just like there will be those people who will say, this is Islam and blah, 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 and they will speak about Islam, but they have no heart to act upon it. So it becomes just entirely academical or futuristic, something projected into the future, or something projected into the past. The Sahaba were great, and look how they're great, and look how bad we are. Or the Mahdi is coming in the future, or the Caliph of the great emperor from somewhere is going to come and with a big sword and 20,000 angels is going to clear the whole thing somewhere in the future. So the messianic past to future, but this is again away from us here today. The here to now, that is your spirituality, and you're acting upon it. And to find that, you can act upon it based on very simple fact called Lahawlawala quwata ilbilLah. Because Lahawlawala quwata ilbilLah presents to you a case of a world in a complete different new basis. What you do, that you perceive in this world to have power other than Allah doesn't exist. And then you say, but what is power then? Yeah, what is power? Power is what Allah has. Power is the power over all the affairs. Power is to have the order over things. Is to be the rububiyyah of Allah over the world. We have seen, on the other hand, how the people in this world fear